Just jumping on today as I'm going to be making Woody's no butter chicken. Woody's no butter chicken. So as the name suggests, there's no butter in this one, making it a healthier version and packing about 30 grams of protein. So this is it here, what we're going to be doing. Prep time 10 minutes, cooking time 30 minutes, making it a total of 40 minutes and 4 portions. So let's get into it. Alright, so first up it wants us to use the simmering basket. So this is our simmering basket where we can cook rice, pasta or anything else the machine wants us to cook inside the Thermomix. So just wants us to weigh some rice into this first. So we're going to weigh 180 grams of some basmati rice. So that's that there. I'm going to rinse the rice until the water runs clear. Just mix it around and make sure that the water's running clear. Just give it a good mix. It doesn't take too long before it starts to become clear once you mix it around. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just as good as you can get. Alright, that's looking pretty good. So now we're going to place 1,000 grams or 1 litre of water inside the Thermomix bowl. So that's going to steam our rice in the basket. A little bit short. Go. So then we just put the simmering basket inside the bowl and that just sits in there nicely. So now we're going to cook that at 100 degrees on speed for 4 minutes. You can prolong the time if necessary if the rice isn't cooked to your liking, but I find that this is always, the 14 minutes is good enough and it's pretty well cooked. So we're going to cook that now and I'll come back when that's done. Alright, I'm just cutting up some chicken here. So the packet was about 600 grams. The recipe does only call for 500, but we like a bit of extra chicken because it does get a bit runny. So it's nice to have some extra chicken in there. So we've still got 7 minutes to go on the rice, and hopefully once I've finished this and cleaned it all up, the rice will be ready and we'll be good to go. So I'm just going to finish this last bit and I'll put it back in this container here so it's ready to, I'll just put that in the sink. So it's ready to go when the recipe wants me to put it in. And I'll pop that aside. Just give me 1 sec while I move this and wash this. Alright, so just rinsing the board off with some warm soapy water. Give this a bit of a dry. So it's always important to wash whatever you're using after cutting up raw chicken or anything with raw chicken so we don't cross-contaminate things. So get this nice and clean again for the next part of the recipe. We've got 3 minutes left on this rice. So the next part of our recipe is it's going to want us to put the rice in a bowl to keep warm while we cook everything else. So I'm going to be using one of our Thermomix servers. This is 2.7 litre round bowl. You can buy this from the mix shop. I actually earned this one as part of my incentives with being a consultant, so that was great. Love these bowls. So that's what we got, nice big bowl. So once this rice is finished, this spatula that comes with the Thermomix, don't know if you can see it here, but it has this little hook in the corner of the side of the spoon there, just in there. So that is, when this is finished, you can hook it onto the bowl and lift out hook onto the steaming basket, the simmering basket, and then it's easy to drain the rice so you don't burn yourself or anything like that, but we'll get to that in 40 seconds. Alright, that's all done. So we get the hook and it just goes into the simmering basket and grabs a hold of it like so. And then we can drain that off. So we're going to put the rice in here. So it says remove simmering basket with aid of spatula and place rice in a thermal serving bowl or warm ceramic dish. So we're going to put that in there and just lift that up. Put the rice in. Oh, make a mess. Right, so that's that done. Just made a mess all over the bench. Alright, so we'll put that aside in there now. Alrighty. So now it wants me to clean and dry the mixing bowl. There's only been water in there, so I'm just going to pour that out, give it a quick rinse, and then just dry that. It will still be quite warm. That did get up to 100 degrees, so when you are rinsing it out, just be a bit mindful of that. The outside's not hot, but the inside will be. Okay, so first up it wants 1 onion cut into halves. It's nice and easy, you get that skin off for a change. And then it wants 3 garlic cloves. Gourmet Garden garlic blend, so 1 teaspoon of the paste replaces 1 clove. So I'm going to just put 1 tablespoon in, seeing as it wants 3 cloves. Almost out of this one, luckily we've got some more.
You got a camera recording?
So 3 teaspoons in there, or 1 tablespoon. And now we're going to do the same with the chili. This one is 1 teaspoon for medium heat or 1 tablespoon for hot. I don't like things too hot, but my husband does. This is one of his favourite recipes. It's a staple in our household and he absolutely loves this one. So he's going to want me to have more chili than not. But I'm just not as brave as he is when it comes to the chili. Put a little bit more. Okay, so that's about a tablespoon of chili. And then says 2 centimetre piece of fresh ginger. Again, I use the Gourmet Garden. I just find it's easy to work with. So this one is a tablespoon to replace 1 tablespoon of finely chopped ginger. So we'll do about a tablespoon of this. Almost finished with this one as well. There we go. Pop that in there. Next. Now it wants us to chop that for 3 seconds on speed 7. Make sure the lid's on properly first. Made that mistake once before. Alright. Says to scrape down the sides of the mixing bowl with a spatula. Just give that a quick scrape. Alright. Now we are going to add all the amazing herbs and spices that goes in this. So first up, it wants 20 grams of coconut oil. All right, so 20 grams of coconut oil. So it's roughly about a tablespoon worth, maybe a little bit more. Alright, so 20 grams of that. And now 3 teaspoons of ground coriander. So 3 of these. Three teaspoons of ground cumin. Quarter of a teaspoon of cinnamon. Quarter teaspoon of ground cloves. I don't have any ground cloves, so I'm just going to place 1 whole clove in there. I usually always just use a whole clove, and you can see it when you pour the chicken out at the end. You can see the clove and it's easy enough to take out. Then it wants half a teaspoon of salt. So So I'm not going to actually weigh this half a teaspoon. I will just crack it straight into the bowl. And then a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. There we go. And 1 dry bay leaf. So again, this is really easy to see at the end when everything's cooked and nice and easy to find and take out of it. Chuck that in there. Alright, now we're going to let that cook for 5 minutes. And I'll come back and see how that goes next. Alright, 5 seconds to go. Now we're going to add the last little bits of ingredients and let that chicken cook some more. So first up is 200 grams of tomato passata. So we'll just weigh that into there. And then 200 grams of coconut cream. I always recommend giving these cans a good shake before you open them. So 200 grams of this. Go. And lastly, 40 grams of tomato paste. Done. Next. So now we're going to cook again for 10 minutes until the chicken is cooked. You can prolong the time by up to 5 minutes if necessary. So it's just a matter of repeating the step if you need to. Usually we don't need to do that, but we'll see how we go in 10 minutes. Okie dokie, that's all done. Have a quick check. I don't usually need to cook the chicken any longer, but I'll have a look see. I think that's pretty good. So the last step says to add sliced kale, 50 grams. I don't have any kale and I don't ever put kale in it. I usually skip that recipe, that ingredient. Sometimes if I have some spinach, I'll put that in there, but we just usually prefer to have it without. So I'm now going to add this to the thermo server with the rice, so that I've got it all in there together. So this here is made of stainless steel. The whole bowl is cool to the touch. The lid is a little warm, but not hot. But if the contents stay warm or cold, depending on what you've got in there, for up to 3 hours. So if you do need to go somewhere or you want to cook something to take it with you, you can put this on and it will hold the lid down in place for you, so you can transport it to wherever you've got to go while keeping everything nice and warm. So, alright, so we'll open that. And here we have our nice butter chicken. Yum. I said this is a favourite in our household. We absolutely love this. My hubby's favourite dish that I've probably ever cooked on the Thermomix. And as I said, there's our bay leaf, easy enough to find once we've poured it in here. So we'll give that a mix in with the rice. And as you can see, it is quite runny. So by putting that extra chicken in that we only had an extra 80 grams, but you can see by adding that, it's still even quite runny with adding that extra chicken. So it doesn't hurt to add extra ingredients, especially if you want to bulk it up and make it a little bit more than the 4 portions. But it's perfectly fine to add even a little bit more rice, a little bit more chicken, but it is still quite wet there. So that's all good, ready to serve. All right, thanks everyone. I hope you enjoy the rest of your night, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye.